Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. We are glad you're here. My name is Matt Smith. I'm with Comcast Technology Solutions. And today we're here to talk about engagement management for streaming services with our partners from Jump, Data-Driven Video. So let's talk about what we're going to cover today. First, we're going to meet our participants here. The company overviews from my colleague Dave Browne from Comcast Technology Solutions, Geronimo Macañas from Jump Data-Driven Video. We're going to talk about and explore subscription versus non-subscription engagement analysis, some best practices from some experts in the field, of course. And then we're going to talk about influencing engagement and retention through personalization, smart editorialization, enhanced user experience. And then we'll explore impacts on advertising revenue through DAI and SSAI. And then we'll get into data-driven findings and customer cohort insights from people who are using our technologies and doing this every day. Lastly, we will end with Q&A. On that note, attendees, if you look down in the bottom bar of the Zoom webinar here, there is a Q&A icon. I encourage you to go there, click on it, and submit your questions as we go, and we'll get to them at the end. So by way of introduction, meet our two very distinguished speakers today. Again, my colleague from Comcast Technology Solutions, Dave Browne, Senior Director of Product Management. And also joining us from Jump is Geronimo Macañas, the CEO and co-founder of Jump Data-Driven Video. And a kind of a mission statement from Comcast Technology Solutions here. And through reliable technology and real-world experience, Comcast Technology Solutions provides you with a new generation of video management. We're using a lot of the same technologies that we use to deliver hundreds of channels to people through Comcast Cable to provide that same level of service to our customers. Who are we? We're a division of Comcast Cable. We serve advertisers, content providers, global operators, and technology providers with media, entertainment, and technology solutions. We have more than 20 years of broadcast in that space, using the broadcast and innovative media technologies. And we offer reliable and scalable infrastructure, real world experience and technology beyond expectations. And the key takeaway here is we want you to recognize the full value of your content through our breadth and portfolio. Again, that experience that we've talked about, very reliable, scalable infrastructure that comes out of the Comcast portfolio, sustainable businesses, things that you can rely on each and every day. And last but not least, consultative. These solutions are by far not cookie cutter type things. We definitely lean in and work with our partners to understand their needs and requirements and providing them a solution.
Okay, so thanks, Matt. So in the case of Jump, we are an actionable business data platform for the video industry. So after years and years of working in the video space, we really understand that there really was a need for really understanding what is the real data that video service providers need to increase retention, personalization, engagement, and marketing effectiveness. This is really what we do. And how and what is more important, what does our customer get with Jump is all about an impact on their business. So we are a data-driven company, we are an AI company, but what is more important, we are a partner to help our customers to really improve their business. So in average, we are capable to reduce historically up to 15% churn reduction with our customer base, increase consumption in around 25%, and also help them to improve the marketing effectiveness in up to 10%. So how we do this? is working with our customers and of course using our technology and our SaaS and cloud platform in different areas. Some of them are the ones that we are about to discuss through this webinar, but just as a summary, we work very hard in how to engage and retain customers using nowadays technologies and the latest state of the art in machine learning and AI. Also helping our customers to increase personalization using new ways and new approaches to recommendations and personalizations, basically doing in-content recognition of images and also using natural language processing to improve that level of personalization. All about identifying automatically communities of people that behave in the same way, so our customers can really treat them with very specific marketing actions and providing them with their very tailor-made services and solutions. And last but not least, of course, getting the insights that our customers need for understanding their audience, their content, and their user experience. But at the end are the three main pillars that every single video service provider in the world needs to look at. So we are going to start with the different topics of today's webinar. So first of all, when we discuss about engagement, the first question that any video service provider needs to ask is what this means in the context of their own business, right? So essentially, we like to split in mainly two groups. Of course, there is a lot of subgroups here, but in two big groups, what engagement means, and it differs depending on your video service business model, because the key business components are also different. So, for example, in a subscription service, you need to take care of customer acquisition, looking at the different acquisition channels and how they perform for acquiring new customers. How do you need to manage the conversion to trials that are crucial, because the first 3 months of the subscription service are crucial for really getting the engagement for a long-term customer, but also looking at conversion to paying subscribers, and even when it's even more important, getting the right subscribers are the ones that are going to land in the highest customer lifetime value. So you need to look at this kind of metrics and attributes from your users and from your service that are completely different if you're managing a non-subscription service, for example, an ad-supported service, right? So in this case, it's all about the number of views, the completion rate, how ad inventory you deliver, drop-off time when you watch ads, being capable to do a very deep micro-segmentation and enable addressable advertisement capabilities, of course, user activity level and ad revenue optimization. So, and of course, you have these new generation services when you actually mix both worlds. So I just wanted to put this slide because when you talk about engagement, you need to really identify which are the business drivers of your video service. And based on that is how you really can define the best strategies for later on impact on that engagement. That is what we are going to look at in the rest of the webinar.
Yeah, thanks, Geronimo. So one of the key strategies to look at when assessing how you might compete with the likes of Netflix and even Apple TV Plus announced yesterday is what are your differentiators? What are the things that you can do that doesn't solely rely on the amount of money that you have to spend on original content? So if you take those two models that Geronimo just explained, you take some of those KPIs and you start to blend these worlds together, you get to a concept that we at CTS call converged monetization. And the principles of converged monetization are quite simple. You look at ways that you can employ multiple monetization strategies operating on one piece of content. Well, why do you want to do that? Well, you want to maximize your content acquisition and licensing deals. You want to be very creative with different outlets and different monetization models to offer that same content. So can you catch the consumer at various points in their decision process? And I liken this to going to the supermarket, and they have end caps and they have aisles, and you can buy candy and gum at various places in the supermarket. This is the same thing, but for video. The next thing you do is you look at your consumer cohort, and you partner with someone like Jump, who can really get down and identify the groups of users and their motivations of why they view content. And you start targeting those different consumer cohorts. And a little bit later on this presentation, we'll take you on a user monetization journey, of how you can take one cohort and monetize them in multiple different ways and roll with the life cycle of that. And your goal is really to increase ARPU, or customer lifetime value. Those are the kind of core KPIs in a converged monetization model. Things like video views are important, but really it's about over a 6, 9, 12-month period, what is that consumer worth to you? So when you start mixing business models together, SVOD and AVOD, live, pay-per-view and things, you start to get some really flexible business models. But now you need to measure it. So this is where analytics and insights come in. So I explained this really simply using this Venn diagram here, and folks around the office are quite bored of me writing this Venn diagram on the board. But there are really 3 worlds of data. There's play out and consumption data. This is about what videos were viewed, when they were viewed, on what types of devices they were viewed, different user cohorts that viewed them. There's a group of data around consumer and commerce lifecycle. So this is how long has a cohort or a group of users had their subscription, how many billing errors have occurred, what is their lifetime value, have they churned and come back, have they used promotions, have they used gift vouchers, did they come in via a referral strategy. And then the third class of data is around the metadata of your assets themselves. And the richer you can make that metadata, and at a minimum, you really should, if you're in the episodic business, you really should be classifying your metadata in an episodic manner, categories and tags, but then using some of the ML and AI technologies that are available today, you can even enhance that metadata with mood and sentiment and actors and things like that. So when you get those 3 sources of data, where there is an intersection, is where you start to get richness. Where there's not an intersection, it's just a report, right? The number of video views that happened in a month is just a report. It's useful, but there's really nothing actionable there. When you start intersecting those groups of data, for example, consumers who watched more than 8 hours of content in a month are 20% more likely to convert out of their free trial, you start to get some analytics. And where the 3 sets of data come together in the middle, you actually start to get something that's very, very powerful, and something we call actionable insights. With actionable insights, systems like Jump will be able to suggest a course of action to improve a core KPI, such as conversion, or to minimize churn. So this is how we look at the world of analytics and insights, how it plays into commerce offerings, how it plays into play out, and how you should structure your metadata.
Okay, thanks, Dave. So how we can really, once we have clear what it's actionable insights, and that at the end of the day, today it's all about action, all this data, the vast amount of data that video services generate on a daily basis, then what is which are the engagement influencing tactics or actions that you can look at and that the most successful video service providers in the world are actually using. So if you want to do prediction about engagement, it's because you want to really anticipate to the engagement levels that you are going to have in the future. It's great to know how engaged your audience is today, but it's probably too late for doing nothing, right? So you really need to work this in advance. And today, state of the art allows you to do this. So there's very proven techniques that probably 3 years ago were not possible, or it was extremely expensive, but today are available for everybody at a very low cost. Second is microsegmentation. You need to understand different groups of people that are using your service. We are not all the same. So we need to be treated in different ways, and you need to provide these people the best you can to really keep this audience with you. Second, personalization. So we are, of course, very likely to spend more time in a service where we really find what we want to watch, and not also related to content, but even to the user experience. We have different tastes, we have different attitudes for using a service that not necessarily needs to be all the same. And last but not least, be smarter where you editorialize content. So today there is a lot of things that you can do to understand how content is driving engagement, is driving acquisition, and also is driving a churn that you can use on your own benefit if you position the content in the right way. For all of this, as you can imagine, needs to be done in a very, very agile way. So consumers are not waiting for you. So you need to be very effective in how and which things you can do for engage your customers. So here's some ideas or some examples, real examples actually, of the things that you can do. So today, video service providers can effectively rely on machine learning to predict how likely their audience is to leave the service and why. And what is more important, make an impact in this at-risk audience in ways that you can influence their future behavior, right? So there's 3 basic steps that you can follow. First of all is understand when your audience is at risk and why. You need, of course, to track your churn rate. And this is probably what most video services are doing actually today. But you can also, on top of that, predict how is your churn rate gonna look like in 3 months from now, using your historical data and looking for pattern behaviors and how people that churn in the past behave, so you can look for this pattern and classify your current audience in these patterns to assign a risk on top of this audience. So with that, and this is the first step, right? So scoring your audience and really understand which are the main influencers for your audience to really leave your service. And could be many different influencers types. Of course, there's influencers around quality of experience. There's influencers around content catalog, definitely. There's influencers around payments and involuntary churn. But also there's a lot of influencers about can I find the right content for me at the right moment and in the right device and in the right day of the week? That these are questions that all of us ask ourselves when we consume content, that you can definitely learn a lot from your historical data. Second is when you have this scoring and you are capable to understand which were the influencers that impact in the past, the churn, then you can design very easily different campaigns for different groups of people. Some campaigns could be around engagement, about being capable to really re-engage people with a new catalog, for example, or with discounts, or with codes, or many other ways, or extending subscriptions by free, or different techniques. That, of course, retention promotional campaigns. So the at-risk people is of course the ones that you need to make an impact now and as soon as possible, otherwise you will leave it. But also win-back campaigns, right? So the ones that you lose in the past are, of course, a target under certain conditions that can trigger an action for welcome back these people. And nothing is going to have a real effectiveness if you don't track what is the performance of every single action that you do. Because you can guess, but the reality is that you can be surprised about what is the effectiveness of the different actions that you do within your video service. So this is just a use case example, but a flow like this one, when you analyze and predict your churn rate, and you split that by your different subscription packages, but also by the different acquisition channels, and then you are able to score your audience by top, medium, and low risk, and then you know which are the main influences for your audience to churn, trigger to you to launch a very specific retention campaign through multiple marketing channels, and then track back the performance of that action. Looks simple, but it's not as simple when you need to gather data, when you need to analyze data, when you need to really run algorithms on top of that to assign scoring, and also come up with the main influencers, and then launch a campaign and track back the performance. And all of this needs to happen very fast. So this is one of the things that the state of the art today allows you to do.
Yeah, thanks, Geronimo. So there's some great ways to measure your audience, measure your consumption, assess risk. Then you need to get down into the nuts and bolts of actually running a promotion campaign. And at CTS, we strongly believe that the system that monetizes your media should also be the system that manages your media. There are many, many advantages to that being the case. One being absolute honoring of entitlements, down to the minute, to the second, less systems to synchronize, honoring your media availability windows and your content licensing rules, geo-blocking, concurrency, all things like that. So we offer a full-blown commerce system on top of the media management capabilities we have. And one important part of that system is our promotioning system. So promotions are probably the single most effective tool in your toolbox when it comes to acquiring subscribers, maintaining subscribers, and really getting close to that converged monetization strategy I was talking about earlier. And really the way to look at promotions is not a special thing that has to happen in order to act upon a KPI, but something that is more fluid and more organic in the way that you do business. And again, I take a lot of inspiration from business models I see around the internet and in the physical world today, because the media space is, we're lagging behind by a few years. So there are many companies where promotions, there's always a promotion running. They're always targeting different groups of users for that promotion. We need to get to that level of sophistication too. So within our commerce system, we offer code-based promotions, and we encourage our users to actually use them in many different ways. Typically, they're used as an acquisition strategy. But we also have a special flavor of promotions around free trials. Now, free trials is something that's unique in the SVOD world. And we are very, very unsophisticated as an industry on free trials. We believe that subscribers want a 30-day free trial. We then lament when they watch all of the high-value content and churn out. So really what a free trial means in the video world is what I call an experience trial, right? Does this offering work on my Android device when I'm on the bus? Does it work on my iPad when I'm lying in bed, right? That's the experience we're trying out. We're not really trying out the content, because the content was the thing that brought the subscriber to you in the first place. So we have a lot of promotion strategies around free trial targeting. The goal here is you minimize the free trial that you give up front, but then you use data from Jump and you target high value or high risk consumers with extra free trials. We also use promotions for loyalty rewards and for churn mitigation. And then a very powerful way to use promotions is for service appeasement. Every time your customer service reps have to issue a refund, It is costing you, not only in the revenue that you need to give back, but also in the transaction fees from the gateways to give the refund. So if you can give service appeasements with promotions, you can still maintain a customer loyalty. It costs you less. Promotions, you need also to have multiple discounting strategies as well. So it's not necessarily just money off as a fixed amount. Discount percentages, even free, fixed price if you're in TVOD. Subscriptions, promotions need to be subscription aware. They need to be aware of billing cycles. So you can give away 2 months free, 2 weeks free as it aligns to billing cycles. And of course, there's a complex rules engine around stacking promotions, and we track it. That tracking data, of course, is going to go back into your CRM system, going to get swept up by Jump, going to get measured. The efficacy of your promotion is going to get measured. Moving on to another little feature we have, which has really taken off over the last year or so, is around gift vouchers. So gift vouchers are interesting because what you are counting on here is basically organic marketing. So, once you've bought your content, once you've set up your service, your ongoing biggest cost is direct marketing, right? How do you get subscribers into the service? If you can grow your subscriber base organically, if you can take high value, loyal subscribers and consumers and have them do promotion for you, it becomes very cost effective. So gift vouchers are a great way to do that. And again, because the commerce system and the media management system are one and the same, for CTS, it makes it very easy for us to generate these gift vouchers and have them be applicable to various groups of content. And then we also offer a refer a friend capability. And referral, there's lots of referral strategies and concepts out there. Again, subscriptions have a slightly different flavor to them because you actually want to give the bounty to the person doing the referring only when the friend becomes a paying subscriber. So otherwise, you're not only giving away a free trial, but you're also giving away the referral bounty as well. So we worked hard with another partner of ours to bring refer a friend capability to market that is media subscription aware.
Okay, so another of the tactics that we described at the beginning is microsegmentation. Okay, so it's really important to identify groups of people that behave in the same way. You can do, of course, this by looking at specific cohorts that you wanted to look for and to really work with. But it's even more important to try to find those hidden communities that you don't know that are there and that they are behaving in different ways. So again, today there is technology, and today there is techniques that in ways that you can do this in a very cost-effective way and really identify this group of people that are behaving in a similar way regarding the level of engagement, if they are heavy users, if they are just sleeping users or are becoming inactive, or different spending levels or different groups that you can look for regarding customer lifetime value or consumption types. So you can identify people that are linear driven guys or VOD driven guys or live events driven guys. And of course, genre consumptions, right? So we all have a preference for the type of content that we like to watch. It's very important to identify those communities that are not necessarily a single genre group. This could be a multi-genre community that tend to look at thriller as sci-fi. So you can really treat these people in a very specific way compared with how you treat the guys that likes comedy and romantic movies, for example, right? Then, as always, once you have identified this group of people, you can really tailor a lot which are the different marketing campaigns and marketing channels that you can use to make an impact on them, and again, track back the performance. So I try to illustrate, and this is a real example actually, of actions that we do with our customers when we identify genre clusters. In this case, we group these people by different genres. So you have drama addicts, comedy addicts, thriller addicts, animation addicts, and family kids. And then you can select a specific segment of people, and you can cross all of these thriller addicts with the level of engagement, sleeping users in this case, and the content type, serious driven. And as simple as just triggering this data through any marketing channel, in this case, email marketing campaign, very popular, like MailChimp, you can launch a very specific personalized messaging campaign for these people to be reactivated, and then track back the performance of this action. This is simple, but very effective, and takes almost, minutes to just make an impact. So these are the kind of things that really you can do very easily if you really have these capabilities of managing your data. Then, of course, another of the tactics that we discuss is personalization. There's a lot of discussions in the industry around personalization. Personalization includes all the touch points on your user journey. It's not just about content personalization. It should be dynamic to address the audience behavior that has evolved over the course of their entire service lifetime, right? So it's about, of course, individual recommendations of content. I want to see first in the user experience the content that really is more important to me. But also use contextual data, right? So I'm not the same guy consuming content on a Sunday morning, where it's gonna be all about kids, that I am when it's 10 p.m. And I'm in the sofa with my wife, right? So it's very important to tailor that recommendations by type of the day, even if it's a weekday or weekend. The time frame, it's morning, afternoon, night, the device, probably consuming content on a mobile when I'm on my way to the office is not the same when I went watching content on smart TV on my sofa, right? But also, personalization is all about as well user experience, right? So content is great, but what we have seen also analyzing data is that there's different groups of people that navigate the user experience in different ways. So you have occasional users that, and you have heavy users, and you have even content-centric guys that tend to navigate in a specific way. So it's not the same, the individual that it's looking more about the content on an EPG than the one that is usually looking for VOD content. And also there is a lot about things to do about localization, different parts of the world, seasonality, and also what we call the algorithm UX, right? So being capable to do dynamic UX changes along the way. Because as a user, I'm also evolving as a user within the context of the video service, right? So UX and user experience is very important as well. And then there is a lot of personalization as well in marketing. And this comes from many other industries. In our industry, the reality is that when you look at this newsletter of most of the video service providers, we are all receiving almost the same content, right? Why? There is today a lot of possibilities to do personalized email marketing campaign, doing a smart push notification at the device level, and also do a lot of micro-segmentation in social media campaigns. So there's also a lot of ways to do personalization in the marketing within the context of video service. And I think actually today there's a lot of possibilities of working in this area. This is just, again, a use case example. In this case, it's about the traditional, let's say, recommendation of content, but I wanted to highlight also that there is all about test, iteration, A/B testing. It's really important to test your assumptions and track that your assumptions are right or not. What could be right for one video service could be wrong for the other. So in this case, for example, we allow our customers to do A/B testing over using minimal layout on employer recommendations compared with the extended layout on the player recommendations. And there is a lot of opportunities here as well.
So ultimately, where you want to go is personalization of the experience, but also personalization of the commercial offerings that you're putting in front of your consumers. So going back to the notion of converged monetization, I mentioned earlier that it's possible to orchestrate a user journey, user monetization journey, or a consumption journey through experiences. And this slide highlights just one way you can do this, and it solves several issues. So the four models we have in play here are transactional, so a rental concept, SVOD, which is supplemented with ads, premium transactional, and premium SVOD. So using those four business models of four monetization strategies, we can take a group of users through a journey. So by starting off with transactional content, we're reducing the barrier to entry and we're reducing the commitment threshold. This is really important if you do research into factors that are influencing conversion from free trials. There is a lot around the commitment of the monthly fee. There's a lot around what it takes to actually sign up for the service. So if you can make that skinnier, if you can make that more efficient, you widen the funnel of potential high value subscribers and consumers further down the chain. So then you use Jump and use all of the, actually just slide back one, thank you. You use Jump and all the tools that they have, and you start to do these micro-segmenting, and you're looking for a micro-segment of transactional users who may best be served with a subscription package. For you, that's more dependable revenue. For the consumer, it's better value for money. You get increased loyalty, increased brand awareness, but you're still keeping that price point low. Now, price sensitivity is an interesting phenomenon. The research shows us that households that have multiple OTT services coming in, when they cancel the OTT service, it's rarely because of taking their spend down. It has more to do with the cycles of content that are in each of the services. However, as we saw yesterday, there's yet another entrant, probably at the $10 a month mark for content. So price sensitivity is going to start, I think, to play a more important role. So we have these subscribers in, they're watching content, they have ads. Again, we use Jump's technology, we micro-segment them again, and we see that, well, we have a cohort that could spend more money. We also have a desire to get more premium content into our system, but we need to offset that cost of getting that premium content in, because the AVOD supplemented SVOD businesses will not really sustain that premium content, or PVOD as we call it now. Again, now we start to build up more ammunition to be able to afford this more premium content. We have a group of users that we know would have an affinity to that. And then eventually those premium transactional users start to indicate that they need a premium SVOD package. So there's lots of different ways that you can slice and dice these different business models. The goal here is that you're taking consumers through a monetization journey of different monetization strategies, and you're employing all of the intelligence and the micro-segmenting and the KPIs that Jump can provide to realize that journey.
Okay, looking at the how to really position your catalog in a way that you really improve acquisition and engagement, there is a lot of things to do here. I don't think there is a lot of video services looking seriously at this today. It's quite new. And the idea here is to really help content editorial team with data to really drive these activities. So first of all, you need to identify which are the top content genres, content types that you can attribute the more to your new visitors, for example, or to your new trials, or to your new subscribers. And based on that, you can position in different ways your content catalog for depending on your business goal. That these business goals could be dynamic as well. So if you want to attract a lot of trials at a certain period of the week or of the month, you can make editorialization different. That if you what you want is to convert a lot of these trials because the month is the end of the month is approaching, and you know that there's certain genres or titles, specific titles that convert better for paying subscribers, right? So it's not about just using content for, of course, delight your customers, but also using as a powerful marketing tool to convert users. This is something that definitely you can do using data. Also, it's really important, and I don't think there is a lot of focus here actually these days, but we discovered with some of our customers that they were paying, for example, $100,000 for a movie that nobody watched, right? So this is a very, very straightforward use case and ROI of using this kind of tools, because you can discover content that is not working really well, right? So you can, as simple as not license it, or if you are producing your own content, look for alternatives, or maybe you are not positioned this content specifically in the user experience. And also at the end, it's all about what is the content that is driving more customer lifetime value. That we are repeating a lot of customer lifetime value, but that's the key, you know. And there is ways to really make attribution of consumption of very specific pieces of content to the users with the highest customer lifetime value. So you can really identify that the specific group of content is the one that are consuming people that are staying with you more along the way within the service. That it's also really relevant. So this is again an example. I will not take a lot of time here. I wanted to let some time for questions and move forward, but essentially is understanding how your content drives acquisition and editorialize accordingly, right? So that's the key.
Yeah, so we just wanted to quickly touch on the advertising portion of it. It's we talk a lot about subscribers and conversion and churn. Obviously, advertising is also very important in your monetization strategy. We wanted to bring your attention to SSAI, server-side ad insertion. So the challenges in the industry today around client-side ad delivery really centers primarily around ad blockers. The penetration of ad blockers is huge and growing every year. And so that obviously is stopping the ads reaching your audience, which is lowering CPMs, lowering the value of your business. It's also worth noticing that client-side development requirements, especially in this multi-device world, which we're in, where you could be on, 5 to 9 to 15 different platforms. It's onerous and it's expensive. And also the user experience as well is inconsistent, right? A lot of bitrate switching, a lot of aspect ratio switching, unwanted latency, etc. So we believe that SSAI is really the most effective way to monetize your content via advertising. We offer SSAI solutions, both VOD and live. We support VAST and VMAP. We're ad server agnostic. And really this is about consistency of getting your ads to your consumers and decreasing your engineering costs and decreasing your time to market. And we follow that same philosophy that we do with our commerce system, right? The systems that monetize your media should also be the systems that manage your media. And SSAI fits into that quite nicely.
Okay, and this is the last part of the the webinar, but this is more obvious, but we really like to highlight. We'll be discussing a lot of very interesting things, and some of them actually very advanced. But you cannot forget that you really need to look at your data, and you really need to look at your findings within the data in three main aspects, right? So it's all about understanding how your services overall business performance regarding audience activity, the content watch, and the user experience are impacting your business, right? So essentially, we like to classify the three main pillars you should look at in understanding the video service business performance analysis activity. So it's all about understanding how your service is being discovered, how your service is being acquired, trials, subscriptions, upgrades, different packages, able monetization, peer-free, or whatever you decide to make available in the market. But also it's about tracking very key metrics, right? About service monetization. You need to look at MRR, monthly recurring revenues, customer acquisition cost, average revenue per customer, customer lifetime value we discussed, how your audience is behaving, what is the main activity, and also looking at cancellations, right? So all this flow about how your service get on board with you, how they behave, and how you acquire new subscribers is something that you really need to have under control to make these other advanced things that we've been discussed. Then, of course, you need to look at your content catalog. It's your main assets, right? It's what you really are delivering to your end users together with your user experience. So you need to look at the consumption type performance, VOD, linear, offline consumption. What is the content type performance, movies, series, live events, e-gaming, content genres, top performing content, low performing content. And last but not least is the user experience. Do I understand the user flow performance? Am I able to really identify the blockers within this user journey? And am I able to really use content catalog to really improve this user experience and position a different content catalog in the specific ways or on the specific places within the user experience that drive more engagement? These are the questions that you need to really answer. And are the basic questions that, of course, you need to start with. So we include some examples about identifying the best acquisition channels, see how much business your video service brings in, track your customer lifetime value, learn what's your most successful content, identify blockers. So this is like a very, very, of course, summary of the key things that you should look at on a daily basis. And that's it. Matt?
Thanks, Hiro. So we do have a couple of questions here. Audience, if you have further questions, please click on that Q&A icon in the center bottom of your screen. Dave, let's start with you. Someone asks, what's the relationship between subscriber hours viewed and the success of a D2C service?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So there is such a thing as being a victim of your own success. And I think that the best, and this is going to sound quite harsh, the best subscribers are the ones that pay you money and never watch any content, right? And they kind of forget about their subscription. That's perhaps not a great way to run your business. So what you need to do is really, you know, earlier I shared that intersection between consumption, playout consumption, and the consumer life cycle. You really need to look at that intersection really closely. And your best subscribers are actually the ones that have a very steady, very predictable consumption rate, that are happy with your service, where you can keep costs under control. And the cost I'm really talking about is CDN and egress. right? So the more content you stream, the more that comes off of your bottom line. So it's about finding that balance. And as Geronimo was saying earlier, you know, when you really get down into that micro-segmenting and you really look at what content is resonating with which segment of consumer, you're really targeting hard that segment of consumer that sees loyalty and isn't necessarily binging your entire catalog.
Okay. Another one here, Geronimo, one of our attendees asks, with viewer insights in hand, what are some of the tactics I might use to keep interest high and subscriptions current?
Okay, that's actually a key question. I think we answered some of these tactics along the presentation, but definitely, first of all, you need to know what matters the most to the consumers, right? But you are capable to not treat everybody in the same way, but understanding that we are all different. Then you can define different strategies for different groups of people in order to maintain the interest. So, but the most important, I would say, for video services, simplifying a lot, is that when you are in the mindset that you want to watch something, and this is actually something that happens to all of us, you want to enjoy entertainment, but you have no clear idea of what you want to watch. It's very important that video services really facilitate that to consumers. And so consumers don't need to spend half an hour discussing within the sofa with their wife or husband about what to watch. If you are capable to really drive the content they want to watch, because you know specifically that at that time, on that device, that day of the week, they typically watch certain type of content, and you do that with a very nice user experience that they really are enjoying, you have a lot of probabilities that these people stay with you and engage. And then after consumption, you are capable to really leave the conversation open with them the rest of the week, so you can make a very personalized marketing, and you can suggest new content to watch or new packages that you want, that you can upsell that are of their interest. I mean, personalization is really key. I think that's one of the big revolutions that we will see in the next months, years.
Very good answer. Thank you. Okay, and one more. Dave, do you have any tactics for simultaneously running a TVE or TV everywhere offering and a D2C strategy simultaneously? Any advice you can provide?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. The industry perception some years ago was, going direct to consumer is going to cannibalize your cable business. That actually is not true, and it actually hasn't borne out in the market that way either. So there's a couple of prevalent models that you see around today. One is offering an ad-free experience for a nominal amount a month. Let's just say $4 a month, and you can subscribe to an ad-free experience. And often that's sold in concert with the cable provider, right? When they have a notion of add-on subscriptions, or channel store type model. Everybody wins in that case, right? The consumer pays to get an ad-free experience that they find preferable to carrying an ad load. The content provider gets incremental revenue. The operator that's selling the micro subscription or the add-on subscription gets a slice of that too. So everybody wins. So that's a really good example of how D2C and direct to consumer can live in the same world. Another example is sub-branding. So if you are a content provider with many different genres of content, you can carve off some of that content. You can sub-brand for a particular niche. And in fact, you could sub-brand N number of times and have multiple properties running at once and use your properties as a way to cross-sell between your consumers. And even as churn mitigation strategies, right? Content fatigue in niche services is a real thing. So when consumers look like they're churning out of one sub-brand or one niche, you can attempt to cross-sell them into the other. ultimately they can always fall back to the TV everywhere experience as well. So those experiences can all live hand in hand. They're not competitive, and those that will do well in this space are those that can switch between those monetization models in an agile fashion.
As the bumper sticker tells us, we can coexist. Okay, great answers, great questions. Audience, thank you so much for being here. We hope that this has been helpful, insightful, and helped educate you on your strategies. There's contact information on the slide there. You can reach out to either one of our very distinguished panelists. I understand that everyone who registered for this will be getting the recording. And with that, we thank you and wish you a good afternoon and good evening.